Happy Sunday. Good morning, villagers. My name is Susan Schrader, and we are so excited to be live with Paris Latka in our first ever Straight to the Source series. I'm super excited to be interviewing and bringing in students, teachers, experts, practitioners of life, and to just pick their brains. And we're calling it Straight to the Source because I really want to get deep into this idea of what inspires every single person, right? Because it's always different. And our internal calibration, that true north that each of us has, is so unique and it's so individual. And to be able to highlight someone like Paris, who is such a light on this planet, and to hear from her directly what is her source energy, what is her inspiration, and why are we sitting on a copper coiled mat? That's why we're here together. One of the best things that I can tell you is that she is our newest movement expert that joins us live every single Wednesday in our virtual studio on Village Well. So if you're curious to join us and do live practice in your own home and take out the commute, take out the stress of having to get to a studio, stress, and rush to relax, then try online classes, because there's so much to unfold when you really hold space for yourself. When you practice with someone like myself or Paris, we really help you to hold space to be your greatness, right? So join us every Wednesday. But today
5:30.
That's right, thank you.
Mountain
5:30
Standard Time.
Mountain Time. And we'll post all this stuff, and just keep your eyes on the Facebook Tribe, because we always have the most updated information. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh my God, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So Paris and I are really like-minded, and we just connected about 3 years ago and feel like soul sisters. And today I just want to give you this opportunity to kind of share with the world your expression of what it means to live connected to source, and then what we like to call in Village Well radial health, which is really spherical and dimensional and opening up into all directions. What does it mean to live in 5D to you? Just start.
Wow, we're just gonna go straight to the source,
Yeah,
are we?
right.
No tiptoeing around it here. Let's just dive right in. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor to not only be interviewed, but to be offering a weekly class through the Village Well Tribe. And what does it feel like for me to be living from source? This radial life that I guess could be called 5D, a different dimension. And I think it is manifesting more and more as just feeling clarity in my body vessel and in my mind. And the clarity then unfolds into feeling available to experience inspiration, feeling available to experience incredible gratitude and really deep connection with myself and to other people. And it just feels like my body is opening in this expansive channel that is not living from this this space of fear. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet always, for sure. But I definitely am getting stronger hits of what it feels like to live from a very centered, connected, radial place, and how that feels in my body that I can now more reference to.
I love that.
Have more reference to.
Yeah, I think what so many of us don't realize is that, yeah, we're living on Earth. We live in dense muscle, bone, heaviness. But there are some practices that we can start to, and lifestyles and philosophies and just daily habits that we can start to apply that give us this perspective that we are so much more than just this human vessel, but there's actually space inside of us for something bigger to move through, right?
Big
so
time.
What is your relationship with that something bigger? How did that even start for you?
Well, oh my goodness. I think what is coming through, what wants to be shared right now, because that's such a big question. I've always been really thirsty to explore the unknown, that there has to be something more than this. And as a young girl, I grew up in a non-denominational home, and it was a spiritual home, but we didn't call God God. And I was interested in calling God God. And so I sat up on the counter in 6th grade and I asked my mom and dad, or I told them rather, I was like, I have asked Jesus Christ into my heart. I am a Christian. This is what it is. This is the path that I'm on. And then that sort of faded away as I learned a lot about how dogmatic traditional religion can be. And so it wasn't quenching the thirst. And it's just been my thirst to explore the unknown and my incredible quality of curiosity. And the density piece, I think, is so vital to bring forward, because we are in like a 3D dense body. Like gravity is holding us here, and there's these spaces in our body that can hold more density. And I think that those spaces consist of maybe trauma, an accident, unfelt emotions that we're just storing in this body. And I've been learning this incredible technique called kinetics, where we're actually, we're actually taking these dense places in the body that are adhesed with fascia, and we're releasing them to create lightness. And so it's so multidimensional in my life how it shows up. And it's a moment-to-moment experience of how it is that I'm experiencing lightness and alchemizing the density.
Oh, I was using that word a whole bunch yesterday. Alchemizing is so great. When we talk about these sort of grandiose ideas, really, I always remind students that that's the part of you that I'm talking to. When we come to class, or when you and I meet together, we really rarely share our sorrows. We do have our complaints. We do have those smaller moments, but you and I connect on such a grand level that we see the greatness. And that's what namaste means in the yoga tradition, is the divine in me recognizes the divine in you. So when you come into the village, we sort of invite you to have these grandiose conversations and talk to that greater part of you that is connected to something bigger, to source energy. And we encourage you to journey to that part every single day, that piece of you that inspires. So this is like this kind of nebulous idea, but you're bringing it now into the physical, which is not a negative thing. We obviously have to live on the planet, so we have to learn how to do it as divine beings. And so she's starting to talk about some of her practices. So besides kinetics, which is pretty new for you, what else are your just personal stuff, not even that you offer to the world, that make you feel lighter, that just help you feel more connected?
So I'm a huge geek with the Course in Miracles. I love the Course in Miracles, and that really helps me to find and continuing to discover what center is inside of me, and to step out of my very limiting 3D fear-based, there's judgment mind. And so that's a pretty consistent practice of mine. My movement therapy, the Bowspring, phenomenal, really helps me to get out of my own way. And so we're sitting on a PEMF therapy mat, which stands for pulsed electromagnetic frequency therapy. And these are frequencies that are ranging from 0 to 35 hertz, which is the frequencies that emanate from the earth. And so setting myself up with technology like this, drinking really great water, ensuring that I'm starting my day from a really connected place, movement, eating healthy food, all of these practices I definitely know support me from operating from this more aligned space that gives me way bigger permission to step into the 5D, 6D, and beyond.
So far beyond.
And to operate from this place of inspiration. And I want to connect with that person. I don't know why. I feel kind of stupid saying hi, but this deeper knowing in me is saying, do it. And so I'm more and more so hearing that voice and listening to it.
I love that idea of living more from inspiration, because so many of us live from memorization. We just live on repeat every single day. And when you give yourself a clear channel, whatever that means to you, and we can always discuss and help you unfold that if you're curious, but you get downloads, I like to call them, or hits of these ideas and impulses. And when you're living by fear, which is kind of in this first floor, right? The lower triangle of chakras, if you look through that yoga chakra system, or just living in the density of heaviness, and I like to call them the issues in your tissues, right? Where they're just really dense and stuck, the baggage of your scar tissue and your traumas and your heartbreak, they still live inside of you. So when you're living by fear, even if you have those inspirations, oftentimes we become so numb that we don't even feel those. But if you're really starting to wake up a little bit, which so many humans on the planet are, we're choosing to listen to those inspirations as opposed to listening to the fear, which is more patterned and it's more habitual. So when we choose to live instead of from fear, how do you kind of check yourself? Because you were saying this morning, oh, I know how to rein myself in. So what do you do to check yourself? And then can you pivot really quickly? Do you get stuck sometimes? Bring some humanity into this.
Oh yeah, stuck for sure. Absolutely. And the back and forth of I know that I should be doing, what feels, and what it is that I'm doing. I'll do check and balances. And what feels important is that this is like an ongoing journey. It feels like there's not just one day that I get it, you know, and then I stop feeling fear. Like, fear is really useful. Like, fear is keeping me from walking off the edge of a cliff and, you know, and recycling this human body, like dying. So fear can be really healthy, and it's just when it's interfering with connection that I have to step back and reevaluate. And so what was the question?
Just bringing humanity into the, like, you still have fear.
Yeah.
But what do you ultimately get to when you're able to kind of unleash that grip?
So I know I'm in fear when I'm judging, when I'm comparing myself to someone, and I have a tendency to always then show up in the lack state. When I am feeling financially lack, I know that I'm feeling fear when there's not enough. So identifying what patterns that are around fear are really important. And so then I can check in with my physical vessel, this body, and I notice that, oh, I feel contracted. Oh, okay, so I need to shake it up. I need to open my belly. I need to take some deep breaths, because I definitely feel like my breath is shallow in those states. And then that is going to be a direct reflection of my mind, right? Like the myopic mind patterns that are total programmed, you know? And so it's identifying that, okay, I feel contraction. I feel like I'm judging. I'm definitely not in my expansive state. And then I use the Course in Miracles. I'll use a mantra, and I'll just close my eyes, and I'll put my timer on my phone. And I'm like, I'm willing, like, I notice that I'm feeling judgment. Like, I notice that this is happening. And I even accept that this is happening. That's been a really fun practice. Like,
you are so good at this. I
right?
see this in you all the time.
Accepting what is not 5D.
The shit.
Right? what fear is, and embracing it. And so that I can look at it to be like, oh yeah, you're welcome here too. Because the more that I shut it down or shut it out, I know that it's going to just perpetuate.
That's so important.
It's so important.
And fear is such a big topic that it can often be so overwhelming for us that it again kind of lives in this nebulous place. But she's giving it such a practical application of, it's in your belly. Your toes are on the floor. Your teeth are lifted off the floor. Your teeth are grinding. Your hands are clenched. Your forehead's furrowed. There's all these places that fear lives. And when we can take it away from this, like, oh, I'm just run by fear, instead going, where does fear live? Or how can I relate to fear? And you're so great at really pulling it in and being intimate with fear, which ultimately brings it around to that unconditional space, right?
So that's the thing. This radial life and this fifth dimensional living, like, that shit is unconditional. So that doesn't mean, oh, I only really like to feel love. Right? It's like accepting that I feel really sad right now and I feel lonely, and it's adding the ingredient of acceptance to I feel lonely right now that is relaxing. It gives it permission to move instead of shutting it out, but I know in somewhere, because it's in my consciousness, it's in my body. And so it's somewhere it's going to start, you know, crystallizing in the body somewhere. So it's been a really powerful practice. Doing the allow, and that was really birthed from emotional freedom technique, tapping. And you know, the setup statement is, even though I'm feeling really lonely right now, even though I'm feeling lazy right now, just being really real with ourselves, even though I'm feeling this, I am willing to deeply and completely love and accept myself. So even though this is going on, I'm still going to expand my capacity to accept myself. And that is so mind, consciousness, body altering. It's powerful. It's so powerful.
I call this video, Let Spirit Decide. We were talking yesterday about, like, what are we talking about? What questions are we asking? And I love to just kind of wing it, and she's pretty good on spontaneity too. So that was sort of what we decided on, is to just let Spirit decide. And when you can let the fear be, let the extra 10 pounds of weight be, let the confusion in your job be, let the relationship struggles be, and not normalize them. It's not that they're going to stay forever, but if you just open yourself up to allowing spirit or bigger energy or cosmic movement to come in, then you don't have to change anything, right? Immediately, except your mind, which is really the only thing we have control over in the first place.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. So in my practice, both as I do this with myself and as I offer it to clients, is just tapping opens up these meridian points that energy is flowing through to clear the interferences. And so it's easier then to think clearly. It's easier to feel that unwanted emotion. And I when we're feeling it, it's my intention, as I feel it, I can then release it. It's what I don't feel that gets stuffed, it's judged. I will judge the shit out of it, and I'll make it wrong. And it's that very act that that creates density.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So obviously Paris has so many things to share. One more piece I want to make sure people know about is your plant medicine relationship, your relationship to food and nutrition, and what do you do there with your clients?
Oh, that's a great question. It just I meet them where it is that they are. I typically work with a lot of people who are wanting to experience a healthier relationship with food. So I am a nutrition therapist and an emotional eating coach, and it's no surprise that most people have come to me for help in emotional eating because it was that profession, I guess, was birthed out of my own struggles. Huge eating disorder, binge eating, like so many things. So it's not a surprise that that's what kind of clients show up to my practice seeking support. And it's all about experiencing, like, what would it feel like in my veins, in my heart of heart, to feel peace with the decisions that I'm making around food. Like, no matter what the food is.
Yeah.
Like, outside of the food choice, like I'm gonna stand behind my decision of what it is that I'm eating. I'm gonna stand behind and the decision of how it is that I'm treating myself.
I think that's a perfect expression of moving it from dense to light.
Yeah.
Because often you'll hear a phrase in the spiritual world, the poison is the medicine, right? The poison that feels so debilitating or so judgmental internally or critical of self that you had this emotional experience with eating, it has become alchemized for you to then let it be your medicine and let you share it to the world. And who better than someone who's been through the experiences themselves to guide others, to help that freedom, to get to freedom on the other side. So it's the same process of moving from the dense to more light and spacious. And again, it's like the flip side of the same coin. And it's just learning how to look at things differently and elevate your perspective and reach for something that feels lighter without having to have anything change on the outside world.
Oh, it's so freeing. It is so freeing. And I absolutely feel like that's the epicenter of what's happening as we shift into a 5-dimensional reality. Straight up. Yeah. It's so exciting.
We're all doing it.
It's so exciting.
And really, we're just stewarding people. I mean, I feel like we're hand-holding and bringing along because we want to play with awesome humans.
Oh, it's so much more fun together. And if you're watching this, or if you're following Village Well, or myself, then, or Susan, just individually, like, we're already, you're already vibrating at a frequency where you're attracting this information to support you in taking the next step, whatever that is.
Yeah, no accidents.
No accident, right? And so I always really love the people that I'm around or the situations that I find myself in where I like open my eyes and I'm like, this is really awesome. This is a direct reflection of the frequency that I've been vibrating at. And so it's a feedback loop. I find myself in a shitty situation or a really unhealthy relationship. I'm like, okay, so this is a direct reflection of something that I'm emanating that is attracting this as well. So it comes...
And without the guilt and shame.
Without the guilt and shame, yeah. And the awareness is the power, because then I'm like, all right, shift,
So
let's consciously shift.
We're all just transmission towers, and we're all finding each other that like attracts like, concept is what brought you here to this video, and there's no accident that you saw it, and you and I found each other 3 years ago, and we've just been building this strength, and our heartstrings are so connected anymore, and I'm just so so grateful for the power that we have together when we come together.
Absolutely.
It feels so exciting.
And one thing that I think is, that I would just love to share as we begin closing this, is that our environment, like I think a way to support, like, we're here to hold your hands, and your higher self is here to hold your hand and to take us step by step into this fifth dimensional living where we're able to operate from moment to moment in the now of what feels most inspiring and exciting. And our environment, though, I feel like that's also a way to, like, cleaning up our environment, like our home environment, Wi-Fi, like how much, like where our cell phone is on our body, because the foods that we are eating, the water that we're drinking, all of the supplements or the drugs that we're taking, like just being aware of how all of these factors might influence our ability to connect clearly with our higher self. Because I think a lot of these environmental toxins can create noise, and it just creates, in my experience, it creates more of a challenge to access this higher self, even though it is there, always. It just feels like, you know, like when you're listening to a radio station and like you can kind of hear the noise coming through some static, and you can like kind of hear it. You could follow it for a while, but then it just starts to get annoying, right? But we can literally switch that dial, and I think a huge part of switching that dial is just cleaning up our environment that we're in most of the day.
I think it's a process, obviously, like she said, it's a step by step journey, and we really have been trained, and we commit to ourselves to meet you where you are. And everybody that steps onto our path, it's not that we expect you to be, you know, floating and living with a turban on your head and meditating on the top of the Himalayas mountains. Like we really see that there's a systemic process that you take steps, and as you consistently move forward and make a new baseline normal, suddenly your deeper connection to yourself changes the world around you, and then you kind of normalize that. You let it become normal, you let it become a new way of being, and then you go deeper in. And so we're constantly in this process of diving in and excavating, and then coming out and sharing. And we go back in because we meet our walls and our bricks and our resistances and our blocks, because we still have them.
Oh yeah.
But then because we meet them, we can help you meet them as well. So I just love you so much. We could talk for hours.
Again and again.
There's so much more coming from Paris. I'm excited to hopefully get some EFTs, a little highlight on the Village Well Studio, and we're going to be doing an introduction, like introductory course at the beginning of 2020 to help really launch this most amazing year where everyone's going to have perfect vision.
Perfect vision, 2020, baby. It's on.
Anything else you want to offer today?
I am so grateful. All of the people who are gathering and really diving deep within their own self is just, it's powerful, and I have so much respect for that process. We're in it together, always. Like we're not doing this deep dive alone.
Yeah, and if you feel stuck or if you feel alone, please reach out to someone, whether it's us or anybody in the Village Well tribe or just a friend. Don't feel like you have to go this alone, because none of us are an island, and it does truly take a village.
And if things are coming up for you, it's the most potent time to be alive right now. Like, things are coming up on purpose, and it's making eye contact with it, making some heart contact with whatever's coming up so that it can be released, so that we can really rebirth ourselves into these better versions that we're all envisioning. Every single person is.
I think we should make a shirt that says make heart contact.
Yeah!
So we just made a shirt that says make eye contact. We made these shirts. We are always on to new creative projects. So if you would like your own little crop top, we have 2 different versions of this, or if you just, want to connect with us, please do, because we love you, and we'll stay in touch. But don't miss the next week's series. We're going to be talking to a mother of 3 who's really committed to getting the toxins out of her home and living a life of connection to her source. So stay connected. It's my sister. I'm so excited. Yeah. So we'll see more from Paris in the future. Stay connected. Let us know if you have any questions at all, but just keep going. Stay connected. Tap into your source every single day and continue the journey of finding you. You're important, and we need you. Thank you, Paris.
Thank you,
so glad you're on the planet.
Thank you.
We will talk to you all again soon. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Bye.
Happy Fun Day.